Hey guys, it's Marshall White with LiftBigEatBig.com, and I've had a couple of requests actually for some deadlift videos. I put a video of me pulling 805 up on the LBEB Facebook page, and it seemed to spur a few requests on how I deadlift. My deadlifting is a little bit different from, say, a standard powerlifting deadlift in the fact that I use straps and I'll hitch the shit out of it if I have to. Basically, in strongman, there are no specific rules according to how the deadlift gets up as long as it gets up. That being said, in my training, I do try to focus on proper form while deadlifting. And I'm going to do the unthinkable here, I guess it is, and tell you guys today how to round back deadlift. You know, you look on a million YouTube videos of people pulling big deadlifts, and inevitably there's always comments of, oh, he rounded his back and now he's going to shoot his spine out of his ass and die. That's not true. Just about every person that's ever pulled 900 officially in a competition pulled it with a round back. You look at videos of Vince Urbank, Konstantinivos, Benedict Magnuson, Andy Bolton. They all pull with a round back. So I'm going to go into that today and show you how I pull like that and how pulling big deadlifts with a rounded upper back is actually safe, number one, and a very good and efficient way to move big weight. Okay, I'm going to focus on conventional deadlift today, or a close stance deadlift, or whatever you folks want to call it. The reason I'm focusing on this is because really, unless you're a competitive female powerlifter, you shouldn't be pulling sumo. A conventional deadlift stance is going to be more transferable to any other athletic event than a sumo stance. And I will even maintain that most female powerlifters that pull with a sumo stance could actually probably do better if they train their conventional to get high enough. The first thing I want to focus on is foot placement. It's very important that you take a proper foot placement when pulling a deadlift. The first thing you want to do is take a little bit inside of shoulder width stance, and you want to have your toes pointed out to a slight degree. This is going to allow you to activate your hamstrings more and pull your glutes through at the top of the lift. You want to have bar placed over about the middle of your feet. A lot of people say try to center, or not center, but try to get the bar as close to your body from the start as possible. Biomechanically, that's not always possible, so we always try to start right at about mid-foot. We have 225 on the bar right now, so when I come up to a deadlift bar, what I do is I step up, make sure that my foot placement is right, take my grip, pull. Okay, now that we have our foot placement correct, the second thing we want to focus on is where our butt, or the height of our butt at the beginning of the pull. A lot of people look at a deadlift and they critique it, or criticize it rather, if it's not pulled exactly like a clean is pulled. A clean is almost a entirely quad-based movement. And the fact of the matter is, unless you're Mikhail Koklayev, you're not going to be pulling 800 plus with your clean form. It's just not possible because your quads aren't going to be that strong off the floor. So what we actually want is we want our butt about 2.5 to 3 inches higher than we would where our clean would start from, okay? So we have 315 on the bar, and just as a side note too, guys, I want to let you know, this can be done, the way I'm deadlifting right now can be done with any grip. So if we want to do the double overhand hook grip, if we want to do the reverse grip, or if you just want to pull with straps, you can deadlift the way I'm talking about with any one of those grips. And actually, as we get up into a bigger weight, I'll pull with all 3 grips, so you'll be able to see how it's implemented with the grips. So first thing, like I said, we want to get our feet positioned correctly. We want to get our grip. And we want our butt just a little bit higher than clean. We don't want it way down here, up here, and then pull. Okay guys, now that we have our feet placement correct, our butt placement correct, I'm going to talk about the rounding of the upper back. It's not an intentional rounding per se, and it's very important to keep your lower back as flat as possible. Basically what we want to do is we want to treat our arms as hooks only. We're not going to try to pinch our shoulder blades. We're not going to try to keep our upper back as tight as possible. We're not going to try to row it. All we're going to do is let our upper back, our traps, our shoulders hang as much as possible. We're going to grip it tight, And basically, if it's just hanging there, our upper back is actually going to round down in order to keep the bar as close to us as possible. If we keep this position during the whole deadlift, basically, our butt is going to come up, we're going to lock out at the top, and then all we have to do is lock our traps out at the very end. And as most of you know, you should be able to shrug a tremendous amount of weight. So, got 4 or 5 on the bar. I'm going to pull this one with a hook grip, so I'm going to chalk the back of my thumbs on this one. Okay? So, first thing, feet placement, point it out, getting our grip, making sure our butt's up, and then just we kind of want to relax our upper back. Alright guys, now that we have our upper back, our butt placement, and our foot placement, we're going to start pulling bigger weights. One thing I should have mentioned earlier that I'll mention now is where our hand placement is on the bar in relation to our feet. As we step up to the bar, we want our hands just marginally outside of our legs. Basically, the closer we are on our grip, the less distance we'll have to pull because our arms are going to be hanging down farther, obviously. If we're pulling way up here, we're going to have a lot further distance to carry that weight. So we're going to pull 495 right now, and I'm actually going to do it with a reverse grip, which means over-under, just like that. Typically my recommendation is that your dominant hand goes under, and obviously your non-dominant hand goes over. In this case, my non-dominant hand, which is my left, is going to go under because I had a biceps surgery last year, and I'm scared to pull with it under. So as we step up to the bar, foot placement slightly turned out, hand placement right outside of our legs, but nice and not low, but also not too high. Right above our clean position, rounded upper back. Easy pull. Alright guys, so now we're putting it all together to make a big deadlift. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put on some straps and pull a couple bigger deadlifts so that you can see how the form needs to stay relatively tight. And I use the word tight because I want to use it to convey correct, I guess. The form should say correct during even heavier weights. 585 is what we have on the bar right now, which is not an extremely heavy deadlift for me, but it is still a heavy weight that needs to be moved. So first thing we want to do is take our step up there, toes pointed slightly outward, bar over about middle of the feet. We're going to add straps this time, so all we're going to do is exact same grip, double overhand, get our straps tight. Okay, so butt in the position, keeping that upper back loose, and pull. Easy, easy. Okay guys, so pretty much we've got the formula for a big deadlift. So all we need to do is put it together now to put it on some relatively serious weight. So we have 675 on the bar. I'm going to use straps again, and mainly because I'm doing farmer's walk after this, so I don't want to smoke my grip too much for farmer's walk, but I also want to show you folks kind of how a strongman deadlifts, and most strongmen tend to put straps on around 600 pounds. You'll also notice that I'm not wearing a belt on these sets. A belt is something that is, I feel, entirely personal. So if you want to use a belt on wherever you feel comfortable, go ahead and slap it on. Just make sure that you're not becoming too reliant on the belt to help you move big weight. Your core still needs to be strong enough. You know, if your max deadlift is say 405, your core should be strong enough to be moving 275 without a belt. So maybe do your warm-up sets without a belt, throw one on at the end. It's up to you. But let's pull a big deadlift using all the tips and techniques I've showed you, and have a little fun. First thing we want is our feet placement. Nice and comfortable there. Get our grip with our straps. Butt placement good. A little bit lower. Keeping our upper back nice and loose. That's it. Okay guys, so pretty simple. Put all those tips together, you'll be pulling bigger deadlifts. And when someone tells you, don't round your backs on deadlifts, tell them to go fuck themselves. That's what it boils down to. Keep your lower back flat. That's where the real safety issues come in. But that upper back, if you're pulling big deadlifts, needs to be rounded to pull big deadlifts. That's all there is to it. Once again, Marshall White for liftbigeatbig.com, teaching you how to pull big deadlifts.